You guys, it is a glorious day here at the house build because we have lumber.
Hi guys, and welcome to today's task. For today, I'm going to talk about something really simple, but it's something you need to know if you're going to be doing your own build project. If you are the general for your own home, which you can be, you're going to need to know how to do a takeoff. And a takeoff is
the calculation of how much material you will need to build this house.
That takeoff is referring to each stud, each seal plate, each bottom plate, each top plate, each floor joist or truss, each board of sheeting on the outside of the house. All of the material that's going to go into sealing this house completely is part of the takeoff. Now, I want to show you a little trick that I've learned. Depending on who you've bought your architectural plans from, there can be a takeoff built into that cost, but it does cost you more. Or my preferred method is actually to find a lumber yard that will actually do the takeoff for you. Super echo-y. And what I mean by that is there are lumber yards. There are actually a few here in the valley that are not box store lumber yards that take the time to do a takeaway for you. Now, most of them will do it for you if you are a general or if you have an account with them, or if it's a residential. If it's commercial, you might have to find somebody else. I did see that with a friend of mine. They were building a commercial building and they would not do a takeaway for it. So he had to do it himself. Now, figuring all this out yourself wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it is time consuming. And there is one trick that you really need to know.
You can be off on your calculations. That's not a big deal. And realistically, you would like to be over. You'd like to buy more material than you need, because the last thing you want to do on a job site, especially if you're out in the remote, is have to run clear into town and get more lumber, especially if you have a crew coming and they're building it for you, because you don't want to waste their time. They don't want their time wasted, and you want this to get done in a timely manner. So the key is to have it all purchased from a place
that will allow you to make returns as long as it's still buildable. Now, where I purchased this from, this is all still buildable. And what I've realized is we made an error. There is zero chance that I need this much treated lumber. I know I need some of it, but that was a miscalculation on our takeoff, and half of this is going to go back.
So I luckily purchased from a place that allows me to return it as long as it's in good working condition, and then we'll take care of that from there. And just like that, I have made a phone call and they are coming to pick up 2 of these bunks, because that's way more than I needed. And that's an error on my part, and they're still willing to return it. So I do recommend, if you are buying your material, look for a place that will give you a return on material items that you don't need that are still in good working order. Now, that was their condition, is it does have to be resellable at full price for it to be returned, which these are, and that's why I called them now, so that they can get out here before it sits in the weather too long.
The other recommendation is get a few bids. I got bids from local lumber companies and they were pretty good.
A local company did the takeoff and that was great. But then I went to a box store and actually found out that if I use a few of their pro purchase systems, I saved another 5%. So if you're a general and you're doing this over and over, you're probably going to have built-in discounts set up at big lumber stores already. But if you're like me, this is kind of a onesie-twosie thing. Sometimes the box stores are the better deal, but you've had to deal with a lumber company in the meantime to kind of get things situated and figured out. Now, the box stores cannot do trusses, so my trusses had to go through a local lumber company.
We do have material here. I am waiting for a little bit more material, as in our floor trusses to come, and then we will start framing this floor out. But in the meantime,
we got a new tool on today's task, and I'm going to show you it right now. Guys, I am so happy. Since the house is backfilled, I can actually back up to this, and it's almost floor level now. And that would be the reason why my framers wanted the house completely backfilled before we start really framing the house. Who doesn't love a brand new extension cord? All right, well, what was on the docket for today is not staying on the docket for today, but I was able to meet with my framers. Holy cow, it is so rainy. Take some shelter and tractor here. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. We went over some of our lumber and we've gotten a lot of stuff figured out. They are ready to start framing here in the next few days. But in the meantime, there is some work that I've got to get done. And that is to keep moving material, which just seems like it's an ongoing thing with me. But when you're the cheapest labor you got, you do the work yourself if you can. And since it's raining and muddy, the safe place to be is in here. Whoa, 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 baby. Look at that old windshield wiper working like a champ. That's kind of super nice that during the rain I can move material and it's not so dusty. It's a little bit muddy, but realistically not bad. I'm not slip sliding anywhere, but I'm also not walking in a cloud of dust like it was before. So this rain is fantastic news. Now back to what we were doing. Since we are starting all of our framing here in the next few days, and we've got all of our lumber here, I thought it would be a good time to go over a few tools that you will need when it comes to framing your house. You can do it with just a hammer and nails. Larry Hahn, who is the king of framing, he did it that way. Or you can use a nail gun, that's an option. But the other things you're gonna need are saws. You're gonna need a chop saw, you're gonna need a circular saw, and one tool that I don't have, that I've always wanted of my own, it's one that I've always just borrowed, is a table saw. And today I get a demo and play with this Rock and Rocker table saw just a little bit. So it comes with most standard features of a table saw. A few standard details that a table saw will come with is a lockable blade bevel, a blade height adjustment, so you can make the blade either go up or down, depending on how deep of a cut you need to make. Obviously, we have our gauge right here that tells us how far off our fence is, so if we're ripping something, we know the width. This is set up in millimeters, which really doesn't matter either way because I always measure with my measuring tape off the front and back of the blade to make sure that it's parallel, because nobody wants a non-parallel ripped cut. Unless you're trying to do that. Maybe you're doing that. Also comes with your table slide, even a nice safety handle, so you don't have to be anywhere near your piece of wood you're ripping down. But here's the thing I want to show the most. When I borrowed my brother's table saw, I had to tie in my shop vac to it as well. And in order to do that, you had to have a third-party switch that would turn them both on at the same time. And at that point, you've got a table saw set up, vacuum set up, and a third-party switch. So one, it's really expensive, and two, that's a lot of stuff plugged in to one little area. What is super nice and what is special about this one is it is a dustless saw. So it has a vacuum from up top that is going to pull all the way down to our bag, a vacuum from the bottom that is also going to pull into our bag, and it's just sitting right here off the side. So when you pick up the table saw to move it, you just move everything at once. Really easy. You're not having to untangle everything, disconnect things. It's just really simple. The one thing that really matters with a saw is how well does it cut. Let's rip off this junky piece of wood. You guys, that was a really, really nice cut that it made. Obviously, did a great job doing that, and I'm sure it does great cutting everything else. But what is most amazing to me is that I don't have a dust pile surrounding me right now. Typically, when I've used table saws in the past, I am covered in sawdust. Everything is covered in sawdust, so much that you have to vacuum off in between use. And that is just no fun to be itching and carrying that sawdust around all day long afterwards. So thank you to Rock and Rocker for sending this table saw. We have a lot more content to show with it. If you guys are interested in the Rock and Rocker table saw, I will have a link down below to go and check out. Maybe it's just the safety guy in me, but I really like the oversized safety button. It's not something that you can really kind of miss. That's amazing. There was like no dust on the lens that I had to clean off. Typically, when I'm done shooting anything close to the table saw blade or saw blade at all, I am cleaning the camera blades off, and there wasn't really any. That was amazing. I made it a rule a long time ago when I was doing a remodel project, or I guess now a new project or anything like that, try to find a tool that you can buy that will benefit the project and that also will just add to your arsenal of tools for later on. And this is one of the ones that I don't have, and I'm glad I've got it now. So definitely check out those links for the Rock and Rocker table saw. You guys, we are on the brink of getting a house that looks like a house soon. So if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And until the next time, we'll see you later. Bye, guys. Carrying a shop back uphill sucks. So you guys, welcome to today's, now.